sun and give thanks for today and for our creation. Wabanagi people.
The Penobscot people have a long and rich history with their territorial homelands. They have always lived in harmony with creation.
Penobscot are living on land that we've been living on for, 15,000 years. It's right smack dab in the middle of the Penobscot River, from the ocean up through the mountains and the small lakes and streams. So, through history, though, we've been confined to the islands on the Penobscot River. So at one point that was devastating to us, but in now it seems more of a stronghold. It's actually helped protect who we are.
Barry Dana is a member of the Penobscot Nation at Old Town, Maine. As a former chief, Barry makes it his mission to carry on the message of his people.
I grew up on the Penobscot Reservation, right on the Penobscot River. Very native, very Penobscot, but also holding a high level of responsibility for maintaining, being Penobscot.
He grew up on Indian Island in Maine on the reservation, and he has spent his life pursuing cultural activities, and that's what really drives him in his pursuits, is following his ancestors' paths.
The Abbey Museum's collections comprise of objects representing 10,000 years of Native American culture and history in Maine.
We have archaeological evidence of Native people living in Maine for 12,000 years, and so we have 4 communities in the state that are federally recognized today: Passamaquoddy, Penobscot, Micmac, and Maliseet, and collectively they're known as the Wabanaki.
Barry Dana is also a very talented artist whose work is well known. Barry Dana's introduction into the world of art was largely influenced by his love of the land and his people.
Birch bark is probably the number one, as the way I like to, think about it, number one resource of our people. You take this area at one time was under a mile thick sheet of ice. So nothing obviously was growing then. But when that receded, like today, if you have a fire or you allow a field to come back into woods, first thing that grows is birch. So my thinking is, if that's the case, when our people first lived here, the first tree they would have encountered would have been birch tree. There's hundreds of uses for birch bark. And if you're going to study your own culture, besides language, you got to know how to provide for yourself. And with birch, you create canoes and housing and receptacles, medicines, eye protection in the winter, leggings. I mean, the list is endless.
Barry does some really extraordinary work. He started making birch bark baskets and really taking his art and taking those baskets to a different level, really etching and doing the visual kind of storytelling and paint, things that he'd been doing in paint in that media, then onto the birch bark, which he continues today.